Some said it would be an easy victory. Some said they could return home soon. And some said they had nothing to fear. The clones had set foot on Umbara. The first wave had landed, and Commander Bly, who previously was stationed briefly on Kashyyyk, had set up a defensive perimeter near an enemy outpost. Their current setup was primitive, protected by a wall of armor and clones. Bly closely stayed informed on the situation through his main comms channel. The initial assault was broken. The utmost right flank were stuck and found themselves holding out as enemy infantry and armor rolled in closer. The issue was that the division on their left was soon to be wiped out. A frightened clone trooper screamed and begged over the comms to send help. He did not dare move. The enemy was getting closer and closer. They were searching the field for survivors amongst the lying dead. It would only be a matter of seconds before they would find him. Bly knew nothing could be done in time, and the last words uttered by the soldier were cut off by blaster fire. Bly found his army at a stalemate. Intel informed him that the central troops could not hold out long if they were attacked from the rear as well. The Umbarans had cut off the clones' right flanking forces, and they were sitting ducks as the enemy could surround both them and the central troops. Bly reached out to Captain Rex. He ordered him to rally his troops and link up with the clones on the right. An uplink with the main central forces needed to be re-established at all costs. Rex was on it. He gathered some of his higher-ranking troops and gave them the details. He informed them of the fallen division and the clones stuck on the right side of the battlefield. This would not be a battle to defeat the enemy, but to help out their brothers who were stuck in a desperate situation. Nevertheless, one of the clones made the remark that in order to reach them, they would have to cross the field where the fallen division had fought and lost. Rex confirmed this, and assured the soldiers with the thought of the ability to pick up some of the enemies there as revenge for those who died. With a loud and brave salute, all troops acknowledged, and the 501st went out into the woods. Everywhere they went there was danger lurking in the background, with blaster fire and rockets going in all directions. But the 501st destination had been set, and they had it in for the kill. There was chaos everywhere. Troops and squads were scattered. The vehicles had the most difficult time traversing the thick and vile vegetation. The Umbarans did not have nearly the same issues, as this was their home, their turf, and they knew well how to maneuver it. The power of the clones' weaponry did leave its mark though, as it mowed through entire groups of Umbarans. The commander needed to think on what to do next. His right flank was in pieces, but help was on the way. It would not be enough to push forward, it was only there to relieve them. He could push with the left, but a similar result would be disastrous in case Rex would not be able to link up in time with the right side. Bly had already sent most of his forces deployed during the first wave towards the center, as he figured the defenses would be strongest there. They were able to hold, but not for long. In some areas at the front, the clones had achieved complete victories, scattering the Umbarans all over the place, some desperately hiding amongst the plants and trees. But these victories were short-lived, as the Umbaran outpost continued to send in more troops to reinforce their front. They had a large amount of men, vehicles, and supplies stored at the camp, and it was surrounded by an impenetrable force field. Nearby AA stations made it impossible to destroy the outpost. Moreover, the site would be a valuable setup to use for the clones in the battles to come. An advancing convoy of ATTEs on its way to bombard the shield in hopes to overload it got hit by mines. Without that field down, the Central Army would not be able to proceed. But a small squad of clones might be able to infiltrate the nearby facility and overload the force field from the inside. But that would be dangerous, with very little chance of succession. Bligh would need to find clones crazy and brave enough to take on that challenge. He turned his head to Bakara and said, "Get me Delta." The front line at the center was wide and were divided by small groups of Umbarans who managed to push through in an attempt to cut off the main force, but instead found themselves cut off from their reinforcements. Stranded vehicles were used as cover by the clones as they tried to fight back. Communications were scrambled. The clones had no idea what the situation was, if they were winning or not. Some of them realized that if they were surrounded, there was no way of telling. All they could do was stand their ground and pick off the enemy targets one at a time. They were soldiers. They had trained for this moment all their life. The enemy would send in more and more troops each time, but they were ready to hold and face each wave with the same ferocious force. Delta had been summoned. Bakara explained about the force field being a problem for the entire army to break through. There was a nearby facility and generator that had the possibility to overload or hack into the shield's controls. It was well defended, and Clone Officer Vale was currently stationed there with a bunch of clones. Boss was ordered to link up with Vale and see if there was a way into the facility to turn off the shields. Delta left the area and headed through the woods. Combat was all around them, and even though they were eager to help, they had a mission to attend to. Rex's 501st had reached the gap between the center and the right flank where the clones had lost. The Umbarans were regrouping in order to either attack left or right. It was a perfect opportunity for Rex's superior 501st to showcase their capabilities. In the frenzy, they lost a handful of soldiers, but most were able to dodge out of the way and keep the pressure on the surprised enemy. Though the 501st were not able to completely wipe out the group of Umbarans, they were aggressive enough to push them back into a retreat. Delta arrived at the facility site where Vale and his men were holed up. Boss tried to inform the officer while the troops were under enemy infantry fire, preventing them from heading further. Vale said that the defense was too thick for the whole group to assault, but a small group like Delta might be able to get through undetected. Vale said that he and his men would cover them while they tried to slip through. Boss appreciated the effort and told his men to get ready. On Vale's order, all his men started to open fire at the same time to create more chaos. In this utter chaos, the 4 commandos ran through the field quickly without being seen. In response to the clones' increased threat, the Umbarans struck back hard. Though their front troops took one hell of a beating, the rear guard soon reinforced, managing to even push the clones belonging to Vale back a bit. Delta managed to get through undetected, but it was paid with the price of many lives. Rex and his men had finally reached the troopers at the right flank who were slowly falling back. They cheered as they saw the blue and white troopers appear from the darkness. Rex informed some of the troops to call for a full retreat to the previous defensive line in order to establish a new front at the right side. As the clones would get their able troops and wounded out of there, Rex and his 501st would cover the retreat. Rex also ordered all still operating vehicles to help keep the Umbarans at bay. With the help of their armor, the clones managed to take out incoming Umbaran tanks. The 501st used the trees as cover and pushed on even more to break the front of the attacking Umbarans. They would soon be coming back with more troops, but for now, their attack had been staggered. The 501st would fall back as well to secure the line, and Rex called it in that their objective had been secured. At the same time, Delta was trying hard to breach through the Umbaran defenses in the facility. The insides were a maze, and Boss ordered Fixer to locate the main control room once they dealt with a few Umbarans stationed at the checkpoint. It wasn't hard to find for Fixer, and he learned that the main control room was down another 2 halls and up the stairs. Before reaching the stairs, they spotted some minor resistance again, but in these tight and confined corridors, it was easy for the team to dispose of them. Once Boss and his men were at the door, he ordered Fixer to get to the lock to open it. It would not take Fixer long, and to cover their trail, Boss ordered Scorch to mine the hallway leading up the stairs in case backup would arrive. As Fixer said he was about to be able to breach the door, Boss yelled for his men to ready their arms. Scorch did one final check at their backs and gave them the thumbs up. The door opened quickly, and with loud screams the commandos entered while immediately coming under enemy fire. With grenades and constant barrages, Delta pushed the Umbarans inside back so that they could enter and spread out. The enemies inside were taken off guard, making it easy for the commandos to clear the room. Nevertheless, in the chaos, Fixer got smacked in the helmet by one Umbaran, a sight Seth found all too funny, and one he would remind Fixer of for many times to come for his amusement. Boss told them to cut the chatter, and ordered Fixer in the chair to search for a way to shut out the force field. Fixer was on it, and Boss ordered the others to monitor for possible incoming enemy reinforcements. Those reinforcements were indeed on their way, but Scorch's careful placement of the mines remained undetected, and thus blew up as they were walking over them. It gave Fixer the right amount of time to find the files he needed to shut down the force field. As he did, he gave Boss the heads up to call into Commander Bly to confirm the deactivation. And indeed, the Umbarans were surprised to find their powerful field surrounding the compound to suddenly stop working. When Bly got the message, he did not hesitate for 1 second. He ordered an all-out assault on the outpost. The second wave had arrived, armed with new walkers and armor. He would have some of his troops move all the way back to surround the compound and strike at it from all sides. The Umbarans needed to start playing defensively, but they had one more trick up their sleeve for the approaching clones.